Hello, welcome to Career and Life Direction. I'm Nathan Olson, or Norwegian Soul. As you may have noticed, each one of us has a limited amount of time, energy, and money. Yeah, I know, especially money. We just can't be all things to all people or do absolutely everything for everyone. It's impossible, and life gets crazy, really crazy, if we try. But how do we know what is our responsibility and what is not our responsibility? This simple question is not always easy or straightforward to answer. Part of the problem is that each person is unique. We are similar and yet different. I am different from you and you are different from me. So my answer won't look exactly the same as yours. If, however, there was a reliable way to be able to say, this is my responsibility, but that is not, we would find ourselves in a much better position. We could, for example, then avoid getting sidetracked so quickly. We could focus our time and energy more effectively, and we wouldn't likely feel as frazzled or frustrated at the end of the day. So here is a brief exercise that you could do, anyone could do, to begin to clarify what you are personally responsible for. And it's quite simple, really. Take a sheet of paper, any old sheet of paper you have lying around, and draw 3 parallel lines that create 4 separate sections on your page. Then, in the top left-hand corner, write, "What is not my responsibility?" May I suggest that you emphasize the word not dramatically. If you have small children, bring one of them in with their crayons and let them go to work on this word and let them have some fun. You will be able to, of course, come up with all sorts of things that you are not responsible for. To get you started, though, here is what I wrote under this heading on my page. I am not responsible to solve every problem facing every single person on this planet. God can, but I can't. What a relief. Moving to the right, imagine that the first line you meet on the page is a concrete wall or barrier, much like a barrier you might see at a highway construction site. You know what they look like. They haul them in and just plunk them down alongside the side of the road so people won't feel inclined to cross over to that side. Of course, it's possible to even regularly cross this concrete line with extra effort, but it isn't a good idea. It isn't a good idea to go over there. Then, on the other side, from the vantage point of the second section of the page, write, "What is possibly my responsibility?" at the very top. What is possibly my responsibility? When in doubt, it's a good idea to begin with what is obvious and work towards what is less clear. This is where you will write down issues and situations that leave you scratching your head and wondering. It would be entirely appropriate to draw a question mark or maybe a few somewhere in this section. Here in Canada, I live in Canada, a runaway train loaded with oil recently slammed into a small town and burst into flames, destroying much of the downtown core. Terrible. Naturally, many people felt horrible about this tragedy and wanted to help in any way they could. All sorts of businesses began raising funds for the people in this town, but I wasn't sure if this was a cause that I should attempt to support in a significant way or not. I just wasn't sure. It was difficult to decide. I didn't know. What should I do? Was this my responsibility or not? Well, that's the second section. Crossing the second line, which appears to be a neat row of pylons a vehicle could drive through, you reach the other side. At the top of this section, the third section, write, "What is partly my responsibility?" As you may have guessed, this is where you will record the tasks and projects and duties which you clearly share with other people. In many cases, you know that you have a role to play even though it isn't the main part. Here's an example again from my own life. I don't know how things work in your home, but in ours, my wife tends to make most of the meals while I usually deal with the dirty dishes. Creativity is her strong point, while dealing with the background grunt work is more of my forte. And things work better when we do it that way. The final boundary line is the least obvious. Picturing a bright yellow line running down a piece of pavement, or perhaps your page should do. This fourth and final section is the most important section and brings us to the main point of this entire exercise. For this is where you will write, "What is my responsibility?" To review, so far we've had, "What is not my responsibility?" "What is possibly my responsibility?" "What is partly my responsibility?" And now finally, "What is my responsibility?" To hammer the point home more clearly, you could write, if you like, what is obviously and undeniably and beyond a shadow of a doubt, etc., my responsibility. And yes, it may be time to bring Billy back in with his crayons and set him to work on another word, or maybe two. This is what you'll read at the very top of this section on my page. It is my responsibility to clarify my career and life direction. I can't expect anyone to do this for me. I hope this exercise turns out to be helpful to you. It has already been helpful to me. If you like, you can stop by my website, www.careerlifedirection.com. I just want to say thanks for taking the time to view this video. I'm Nathan Olson once again, and thanks as well for visiting Career and Life Direction.